So welcome to our third Everyone Has a Voice series at your local library. A special thank you to Director Paul Engel for supporting the art of poetry and giving us this space. I'm Hope Fernandez, educator, educational administrator, and more importantly a poet. Today I'm also your queen of ceremonies. Our order of events will be feature student poet, then a feature adult poet, followed by anyone who would like to do an open mic. So it is my pleasure to introduce Scat Nelson, a senior at New Hampshire Church School. She wants to study international relations and business and has already received one early acceptance to Fisher College. Scat.
Okay, so my first poem I wrote a couple years ago, but it's called 7 Years. It starts 7 years for your skin cells to regenerate, they say. 5 years of scrubbing your mind clean, trying to forget. 4 years of hiding in denial. 3 years of not surrendering. 2 years of war. 1 year of peace. My second poem is Love's Illusion. At first, love feels like the first floods of December, a quiet warmth in the winter chill. The thrill of gifts wrapped in hidden wonder, like secrets only he could fill. But then love shifts, like the mask of Halloween, unraveling layers we thought we knew. Sweet disguise slips, revealing shadows. Truth colder than what we wish was true. And yet, love lingers like the autumn leaves, fading the clean, afraid to let go. The seasons turn the memory haunted, leaving us aching in afterglow. And then my last poem is Adelina. Have you ever heard that ringing in your ears, the kind that disturbs your sleep, the type that makes you think, did someone just die? Or did I die? What if it doesn't stop? What if it keeps getting louder and louder? And with it, a chill seeps into your chest, spreading like frost, stealing your breath. A shouting pulse you can't ignore, leaving you restless and cold.
Our next poet is Amy Woodward, former attorney, mom, daughter, friends, family. You're in for a treat.
Somewhere I ran across the words, a quote from an artist who was asked, an established artist, she was asked to give her advice to artists just starting out, and she said, make bad things, put them aside, try to understand why they're bad. And I connected with that because for years I have made bad things out of words, and I put them all into a big digital file called Random Fragments, Ideas. And every so often over the years, one of those bad things would come and tug me by the sleeve and ask to be taken out and made a little better. And so I eventually developed another file called My Less Bad Moments. And I've selected some from that file today on the theme of the two great rhyming circles that govern our lives, the life cycle and the seasons. Let's start with Mother's Day poem. Is it even lawful to admit that it feels like the most god-awful shit anybody ever had to take? That pressure in that place one recognizes. Only the intensity surprises, as Joan of Arc said to the birthday cake. Birth is rejection, expulsion, emergency ejection from the racked and shuddering body of a woman. But none to such divorce admit impediment. Neither mother's will nor childish sentiment can circumvent the two-seas dissolution. And though she may then clutch this small Egesta, slick and bloody to her trembling breast, nothing may remake their shattered union. But ever afterwards she must endure the child shoving off from her, must help shove even for both their sake. And after that comes the round owl. And give a special welcome to my grandbabies who just came in. This child that was yoked in ovoid belly
is itself now a small planet with mighty gravity. Oh, see ya. Nana. But when Moonhead meets Moonbreast face to face, they kiss, and they complete each other, circuit of bliss, all strife suspended inside spherical space, lull between the violence of birth and all the serpent's tooth later. There is no sweetness in a mother's life like this. Each breast a organ Eden. For one round hour, her body is perfect, her power absolute, her benevolence complete. The dimpled hands grasp, the mouth works rhythmically, instinctually. Sweet milk like morphine drips into the child, and in return, the honeyed drug of contentment, utter peace, seeps through the mother, and they drift and drowse in the poppy sea a while. Before childhood ends, pump so hard you're looking down at the top bar of the swing set. Muscles synchronous, powerful, everything bent on the swoosh of descent, impossible, dangerous, irresistible. Then the upward arc, leading back into an inverted world, again and again, until, after the last plunge, release into the void. You know, here is cycle end, so Face, 2015. Today in the newspaper, I saw a photograph of a woman kissing her mother's face, but her mother wasn't there. She had died of a stroke, and now the face belonged to another woman whose husband had doused her with lye. A transplant, a medical miracle. It is decades since my mother died. How I wish I could kiss her face. How I wish the persistence of cells and souls and cells would resolve into a dew. A couple of palate cleansers before I get to the students. So why call it intelligence, this faculty that shackles us to lives of replacing the toilet flat and deducting line 12B from line A on Schedule C attached? Better to know what the sunflower knows, the mountain, the tide, the wild rose. Why I write poems. My head's a cafe on a busy corner, music playing softly in the background, and words ricocheting around all day. Mundane, passionate, laughing, contentious, repetitive, cajole. Later the crowd thins out and the talk thins to whispers maybe, pauses, a slow swell of the saxophone, and then a measured comment. Sometimes the words just stop and listen to the music, but other times without warning, the words get up and dance. They may drill through a formal quadrille or mingle in a sway-backed tango, or sift sinuously through an Isadora improv, or tap out a beat like Savion Glover. I look on like a lover, adjust their poses, and play with them until the cafe closes. I'm going to make a fruit salad. I will chop pineapple, letting my knife find the seams along the grain and the acid find the cuts in my cuticles. I will peel the fever-thick cotton off grapefruit sections and rip them into bites. I will dissect grapes, purple ones for the color. I will spoon out curls of melon flesh and douse pear chunks with lemon juice to keep them white. If the winter market offers a ripe mango, I will add its mellow breath to the bowl, and something small and dark and sweet, like the memory of sun.
the seasons, spring is not represented, I'm sorry, but I'll begin with a little garden form. So, a couple of years of the wee ones. This is August 2008, which must have been a good one. Just look at this garden. You'll have to blush. She and Summer have been going at it non-stop since May. And for this once, no killjoy drought has come to staunch their pleasure. And there she lies, wind-blown hair a riot in every shade from emerald to black. Erect buds and berries plump with lushness. Clematis fingers clenching stake and stem. Her whole body open, aching only to open farther still, both sated and insatiable. The trees are warriors in this gorgeous orgy. They leer down through their old man beards of bittersweet, but no, this pearl's not unique. They like to watch, but soon Summer will tire of having his way with this one. He'll ride the sun to antipodal arms, leaving her to winter's bony clutch. Little trash song. Here along the tracks or by the road between the schoolhouse and the mini-mart, where trees have littered down their worn-out leaves, rotten sticks and seed pods, they've inspired a host of imitators. Barbecue chips and Marlboros have left their moldy skins. Powerade bottles drained of all their sap have fallen limp among the hollow logs. McDonald's bags and Dunkin' Donuts cups add hot pink, orange, maggot white, and gold to muted tans and russets of youth mold. And luckless lottery tickets sink roots down in humus, seeking generative seams to feed tomorrow's crop of throwaway dreams. Folk song. The woods in this neighborhood are where pumpkins go to get smashed. Likewise, the local teens who toss their beer cans ritually crushed and articles of clothing underneath the brush as tribute to the spirit of the place that oversees these rites of eager loss, toll taker on the one-way path down which all children rush. Finally, you know it's coming, a winter walk in Long Track 2016. I've walked this path spring and fall. It has its charms and all. Today, slick ice lurks underneath the snow. With stark magnificence weighs the pine limbs low. They kowtow in obeisance, blocking off my road. No matter, there's no need to shed your load. Bow down, boughs, before your master's snow. I can find another way to go. Thank you.
For open mic, we have Nicole Timmers.
I don't have anything of my own. I want to share somebody else's poems. I'll share one thing of mine as a prelude to it. I'm feeling a certain way. It's been a rough week and a half. You all know. I have the title of a poem that I've been ruminating, the boxes I want to bury. That's as far as I can get with this last 2 weeks. It's been really hard. I love Maya Angelou. She's amazing. Still like dust, still like dust, I'll rise. That poem is like my mantra. It's my everyday. So I teach at a school that's predominantly Black and brown. Last year, Hope is amazing, and she does poetry out loud, and we're supposed to recite a poem from memory. And if I'm teaching my students to do the thing, then I have to do the thing too. I tried, failed, but still, I did do it at that Poetry Out Loud event, and then I decided I'm gonna write my own We Rise poem. So this is the prelude to what I actually want to share, which is someone else's work. We rise, we rise, we rise. Every morning we rise. We make a choice to face the dawn, to have a cup of coffee, to live up to our ideals, to get dressed, travel in buses, travel in cars, and travel with our feet to this community of minds where we create. We procrastinate. We struggle with the daily tasks of our day, only to rise again and do it another way. Make no mistake. The rebirth that occurs every day is a choice. Rising from the ashes of yesterday's disappointments and clashes, like the phoenix of mythology, we are frequently misunderstood. And yet we continue to rise above all the nonsense and show our true colors, magnificent and immortal in the ways we defy the imagination, with our dazzling strength and resiliency. It's the 10th anniversary of this book. This is a book I come to a lot. Ruby Carr, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She writes a lot about the perspective of being a woman. I've been really, really upset with this whole my body, your choice whole thing. So I picked these 3 poems for that reason. It's sort of like the clapback, if you will. When my mother was pregnant with her second child, I was 4. I pointed at her swollen belly, confused at how my mother had gotten so big in such little time. My father scooped me in his tree trunk arms and said, the closest thing to God on this earth is a woman's body. It's where life comes from. And to have a grown man tell me something so powerful at such a young age changed me to see the entire universe rested at my mother's feet. Yeah, it's good. She's good. Get the book. It's really, really good. She also does illustrations in the book, which are beautiful. Emptying out of my mother's belly was my first act of disappearance. Learning to shrink for a family who likes their daughters invisible was the second. The art of being empty is simple. Believe them when they say you are nothing. Repeat it to yourself like a wish. I am nothing. I am nothing. I am nothing. So often the reason you know you're still alive is from the heaving of your chest. This one's going to be the hardest. Okay. For generations, the women of our family have offered limb upon limb to those around them. We've handed spines to our fathers, hymens to our husbands, tendon after tendon to our children, as if all our parts were designed to be useful to someone else. Sometimes I sit and fantasize about having a life of my own and what it would taste like to belong to myself from the very beginning. I wonder how far back in our lineage this tradition of women making self-sacrifice, a fine art, extends. I tend to forget who I am when I'm constantly around other people. I need solitude to see myself clearly.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes.
I've been feeling like Nicole as well, and don't like any of my poems that came out in the last couple weeks, and they're all angry and terrible, and everything I read was angry and terrible. So I'm going to read something that just makes me feel good. This poem's called Lembra. It's Cape Verdean word for remember. I like to write fictionalized narratives about relatives no one wants to claim. Peculiar ladies that chew tobacco and let the brown dribble fill their lip wrinkles and chin crease, smoke pipes. Powerful mothers that bore 15, 9, 7 children in their prime. Working women that hid their hair from the sun with cotton scarves, picked Cape Cod cranberries or carried water on their heads, pounded corn into flour or mere bread. Storytellers who sit in the shade of a mango tree on the slope of a volcano, legs spread open, catching shell bean husks,
in their skirts as they vie for their podium. OBV, OBV, listen here, toothlessly gumming up the ash of days gone by. This is what I like to write, Polaroid stories for ancestors who may not comprehend the word Linda. Yes. Do you have one?
I'm about to.
Come on up.
Okay, and it's not a poem, it's a poem that was written in 1883 by Emma Lazarus. You all know the last lines of it because it's on the Statue of Liberty. I, in 6th grade, was made to memorize this poem. Okay, so, and I didn't. So the teacher, Mrs. Keller, made me write it out 10 times. And I have recited it for everybody who knows me ever since. But I think it's kind of inspirational. It's what's on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty, and it's about immigration and a different attitude. And obviously, the educational folks in New York City thought that every New York kid in I was in 6th grade, so probably 1958 or 59, should know this poem. So I'm going to recite it. I'll probably blow some of the lines, but it's called The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose frame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged heart of the Twin Cities fame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Send those, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
And we have Gail Rosewood.
And French.
In front.
This is a poem by Maggie Smith called First Fall. I'm your guide here. In the evening dark, morning streets, I point and name. Look, the sycamores, they're mottled, paint by number bark. Look, the leaves, rusting and crisping at the edges. I walk through Schiller Park with you on my chest. Stars smolder well into daylight. Look, the pond, ducks, dogs, paddling after their prize sticks. Fall is when the only things you know, because I've named them, begin to end. Soon I'll have another season to offer you. Frost, soft on the window and a porthole, side there. Ice leaving the bare gray branches. The first time you see something die, you won't know it might come back. I'm desperate for you to love the world because I brought you here.
I love these bits because you never know what you're going to hear in the next few minutes. So that's a wrap for this month's poetry night. We will meet again in December, the second week of December, for everyone who has a voice. Thank you.
I just wanted to say one more thing. We will persist, we will resist, we will take care of each other.
So welcome. This is Scat Nelson, a senior at New Heights Charter School, who intends to study international relations and has gratefully been received her early admissions acceptance to Fisher College, and she was one of our featured poets today. So Scat, tell me, when did you realize that language had power and poetry was a way to voice that power?
I think the first time I realized it was in my 3rd grade class with Miss Ryan, where she would read us poetry like at the end of like every class, and just would teach us that writing and reading is our way to open up to the world and show the world who we are.
Has your ideas of poetry changed since you first began writing? Where do you get your inspiration from?
Yeah, I think like early on it was like stuff like Dr. Seuss and stuff like that we learned. But as I got older, starting to like experience things, being a teenager and having life experiences, I feel like poetry is a way to like express yourself.
Definitely. Are there any particular topics that inspire you to write poetry?
Yeah, I've had a lot of stuff happen to me in the past couple years, and I've had people like lawyers and businesswomen who have like done stuff for me or other people that inspire me.
So poetry speaks from the inner heart. It's interesting because I couldn't find anything to read today because I've been so angry. And I don't like to read angry poetry, but now I'm starting to understand where that voice comes from within poetry. Have you written anything in the last few weeks that may be similar or not? We don't feel obligated.
Yeah, the first poem I wrote in the past couple weeks. I've been thinking about how the stuff that's been going on, like this in the past 2 weeks, and how people who have helped me through the opportunities I've gotten, how they're not gonna be there anymore for the people angry. 7 years in the skinny generation thing reminds me of that.
I could see that, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your poetry. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, my mother taught me poems and rhymes and love of language from the very beginning. Anyway, then at one point in my growing up, she told me she would give me a dime for every poem I memorized. So sometimes I went looking for the shortest poems I could find, but I loved Poe. I loved the rhythm and the music and I memorized The Raven and Annabelle Lee and many, many others.
Well, your mother seems similar to mine because Isabel had a poem for every life occasion memorized.
Yeah.
And if I said I was bored, she would recite, "He who has a book is a king indeed. His kingdom is a golden nook. Always to he who has a book. Find a book or I'll find something for you to do." So that's what started my love of poetry, was the fact that she always had one.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't involved with something academic, she would find housework for me to do. So it was an escape. Where do you find your inspiration for poetry?
Well, as I said in one of my poems, it's just that I have a head full of words, and sometimes they get up and dance.
I mean, we had fun when we would have a poetry group and write with students and pick a phrase or pick an item, and that committed hour was lovely, and a lot of things were birthed out of that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that time.
And unfortunately, I've had a lot of deaths as occasions for writing poems, and actually some of my best ones, but I can't read them without crying, so I don't try.
I understand. I'm finding it, like I said, I'm finding it difficult to write right now because I'm just too angry, but now I'm starting to understand some of the angry poets. They'll say, "Well, that's so angry." Now that's what I want to read, but I don't want to stand in that puddle. Empowering. I think poetry has that voice.
I just went through, I have a huge collection of my favorite poems that I made for a workshop that I took, and I'm glad that I have it because now whenever there's a need for a poem on a particular topic, I can run through my archive and find one.
Well, like I told you, I think we're hoping to do poetry reading uplifting voices for February and March.
Yeah.
So I hope that you will bring some of that poetry to one of those events. Thank you for your time, my friend.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.